Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to today's panel discussion on why employees' wellness matter and where to invest for the greatest impact. So we all know that business is only as strong as its people. Those are the employees that make up that organization. Yet today's fast-paced, high-pressure work environment, employee experience a lot of employee burnout, stress, toxic workplace, and engagement are at an all-time high. The question isn't just why we should care about employees' wellness, it's about how we can afford not to. Investing in wellness isn't just about perks or feeling good initiatives. It's a strategic move that directly impacts productivity, retention, and overall business success. But where should employees or companies focus their efforts to see the greatest return on investments? And for those of you here today, there's one simple action you can take, whether you're working for yourself, or you're creating a team, a more sustainable workplace. Our panel of experts here today are here to dive into these critical questions and share practical insight you can implement right away in your organization. And of course, if you'd like to connect further, we'll make sure you have the best way to reach us. Let's get started. Okay, so I just want to get started today, and I just want to just ask kind of like a quick question. I don't want us to spend too much time on this because we have a lot we want to cover today. Just give us a quick little introduction of yourself and what you do, if you don't mind.
So I'm Dr. Janet Patty. I am currently the CEO of an organization that does and gives training and coaching to school principals and superintendents, primarily in New York City.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name's Carrie Williams. I am an executive and leadership coach and the owner and founder of Rain Shadow Coaching, based in Los Angeles, California. We do team coaching, individual coaching, and leadership development.
Hi, my name is Andrew Baxter. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of All Care Provider. We service anything from post-acute at home, represent the National Alliance for Care at Home, as well as CASA, since I'm from California State, which is the California Association of Home Care and Hospice. We service about 3,000 to 3,500 patients on any given day, from pediatrics to end of life. And again, it's all about the patient experience, but also employee experience as well.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Irvin Nelson. I'm a lawyer here in Las Vegas. I've also practiced in California and Utah, probably longer than most of you have been alive on the earth, over 40 years. I see our lawyer from Scotland in the back. Nice to see him, and I know he's working with law firms. And I've done primarily business and corporate work for companies, small and large. And through the years, I've learned how many benefits they could have that they don't have for their employees particularly. And I've joined Certainty, which is a company that provides business consulting. And those of you who were in the other track yesterday afternoon may have seen my partner, Patrick Lang, present. And one of the things that we found that we are developing expertise is wellness programs which are funded by pre-tax dollars under Section 125 of the Internal Revenue Code. Don't fall asleep when I say that. But it's very important because it saves everybody a lot of money. It's kind of like what we used to call cafeteria plans. And because of the deductions coming pre-tax, they more than pay for the wellness programs we have, and in fact return money to the employers and the employees usually. So I think that's kind of the trend, is where a lot of things are going, and exciting, and my goal is to transition out of law, where in fact I'm fighting other old lawyers, and transition into consulting, where I'm helping employees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Irv, I
And
love
so-
that you lumped me into the under 40. Thank you.
So I just wanted to.
Should have said 30, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to go ahead and introduce myself and get started with a couple of questions we have today planned for you. So my name is Crystal Booth, and I am the CEO of Wings of the Future, not-for-profit. It's a nonprofit organization that helps families that are involved in the legal system. Families that typically will be in child protective services, they lose their children, and we work with them and we help them to heal their trauma, and we help them to get back on track and possibly, if they're able, receive their children back. So that's what we've been doing for over 10 years. So we definitely know with our staff and everything, we want to be able to make our staff as comfortable as possible and retain our staff. So today, that's what we're going to be trying to strategize with you guys, or talk about and let you guys understand the pros and the cons of it, of everything. So let's get started. One of the biggest questions that I have today is why is employees' wellness important? And I think you kind of, the gentleman on the end, he sort of started answering that question for us. So why is employees' wellness important? Why should we care? Okay, so we can start from, we can start with you.
Okay, well, imagine yourselves in a school building, and maybe your child is there, K2, maybe they're 7, 8, maybe. Well, what happens during that day, every single thing that happens in a school is what the principal is responsible for. The amount of responsibility on his or her shoulders is tremendous, and there's very little available to nurture the principal. And even the superintendent of the district has many schools. So, for example, in New York City, and I'll be very quick, there's over 1 million students in a school district in New York City, over 1,800 schools. Can you imagine the responsibility of the chancellor, who's at the top of the organization? That said, what we're all about is trying to provide spaces for leaders of schools to be able to nurture themselves, because the last thing they ever do is take care of themselves. And that's the work we do.
Awesome, that's great.
Before I start, I have a question. Is there anyone in the room that thinks that wellness is not a good investment for employees? And it's okay if you raise your hand. I'm just curious if we're trying to convince anyone here. Okay, so we're already on the same page that wellness is a really valuable tool for our organizations. And it's because it impacts our bottom line, right? Studies show that the higher the turnover rate, the lower the profit margin, and the closer we are to burnout, or if we don't feel supported at work, or if we're overwhelmed, the more likely we are to leave an organization. Did any of you listen to Tammy speak on this stage yesterday about Gen Z? In just 5 years, Gen Z, she said, is going to be 30% of our workforce. And one of their top concerns is, does my employer care about my well-being?
That's right.
So I am not in Gen Z, not to age myself. I don't expect my employer to care for me, but even now we have to accommodate the fact that the global culture is changing. There are different expectations of employees, there are different expectations of our clients, and there's different expectations on organizations now. And so it's not a matter of if this is a smart investment, it's a matter of where can you invest your money so it will have the single greatest impact for your organization, because if you aren't investing in this, you will go by the wayside.
That's amazing, yes.
Yeah, and we take a look at it also in healthcare, right? Where your employees are your best assets. Again, we're in a service industry as far as this nation is concerned. And again, if you can't bestow that over to your employees set, right, and their wellness, making sure that they're not being burnt out, they're not being stretched too thin, and have empathy, from the leadership side of it. How else are you going to bring up new leaderships underneath you for that succession planning? But again, that speaks worlds for you, not only internally, but even externally as well. Right? So you really want to amplify your internal process with a wellness program, but also you want to amplify that outside to your customers.
Exactly.
When I was a young lawyer, a professional pulled me aside and said, don't get caught in the trap where you work hard, you get a lot of stress, and you go home, and rather than exercise or play with your kids, you drink. Because that will be a short-term answer to the stress you're feeling, but in the long term, it'll be much worse. And I had an organizational behavior class, and one of the things they taught us was the parable of sharpening the saw. Many of you probably heard that, where two people were competing in sawing logs. And one of them thought, I've just got to keep going, and was maniacally sawing. And the other one realized halfway through his blade was getting dull, so he stopped to sharpen it, and he came back, and he won the race. And I think that employers and employees need to do a lot of sharpening the saw, and it affects so many things, like you said, employee retention, happiness, everybody getting along, profitability.
That's it. That is so amazing. That's so true. What you're saying is exactly true, coping, and that's a really good transition to the next question that we have. I want to speak on that. Actually, I just wrote a book called Transforming Healthcare Leadership Using Self-Empathy, and the strategy that I use is a technique that any employee or the leaders of the organization can use to help themselves get their body back regulated, emotional dysregulation, and it's a really cool, quick 5-minute exercise that they can do. Also wrote another book on Deep Inner Soul Healing with Self-Empathy, which also talks more in depth about this technique. So the coping strategies is something that I really want us to kind of really get all of the understanding on exactly how we're going to solve this problem. Since we already know that each of us already agree that we have a problem, and we all agree that it needs to be solved. So the next question that I have for my panel here today is, where should we be investing our wellness to have our greatest return on investment? So where should we allocate that money to go? Because we definitely know we need to allocate it. And I believe what is your name? I forgot the lawyer at the end. I just mentioned
Irvin, yeah.
Irvin, Mr. Irvin.
No.
Yes, yes. What he was talking about, he went straight to the solution, and I love that. So I really want us to kind of dig in as deep as possible to come up with some solutions today. So what do you feel is the where?
In the field in which we've been working in education, the teachers can't really be well unless the principal is well, unless the superintendent at the top decides that this is something we're going to focus on.
Yes.
So we really have to get to the leaders of the organization and convince them that that's where we need to have wellness spaces, activities, places, times. The burnout, as you were talking about, Carrie, is so bad in education. Principals, 1 in 4 leave every 1 or 2 years. It's really not so, and we know already about teachers, right? And so I think that investment is critical.
Absolutely.
In schools. The problem is we are a bureaucracy, and we depend on the funding that comes from the political organizations, our state and our federal government and our local. And if we don't have that money, then how do you do anything extra besides teach our children how to read and write?
That's a good point that you're making, because not all the organizations are, corporations. Some of them
that's why
are.
I chose to be in the corporation areas, because we need to educate you all also as to what's happening in our schools. You are a critical part. All of us are. We're responsible for our children.
Yeah. So where do we pull the money? Whose
Absolutely.
pocket do we get the money out? So yeah. So let's see. So what would you say would be the place to put where we specifically allocate? So we're talking allocation of the money. We're assuming that we have it. We probably don't, but we're just assuming that we have the money. Where do you think that we should allocate that money? Because, do we allocate it for coaches? Do we allocate it for training? Where should we allocate the money?
We could have an internal system, I was thinking, and even in schools, but then we'd have to develop people, and then there's a lot of fear factor because people don't trust necessarily. So, but the bottom line, and then I'll pass it on to Carrie, is we have to invest in the principal.
Okay.
Bottom line.
Yeah. So you want to invest in really creating the culture.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
So invest in the top and trickle down?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I work a lot with clients trying to achieve really big, audacious goals. And to do that, it takes a lot of all-in mindset work. In order for us to do that mindset work, there has to be a basic foundation of wellness. If you want personal growth and professional success, you have to have overall well-being. And I think we do a disservice when we think about well-being. We think about, do we go to therapy? Do we bring yoga classes into work? Do we have free kombucha? And when I talk about wellness, that's not what I mean. I think the greatest investment that we can give when we're talking about the wellness of our employees and our organization is, one, focus on mental resilience. Give them the tools so they can emotionally regulate, so that they can rebound quickly, so that they can handle the crises that just seem to be rolling on us every year. I don't know about you, but I was white knuckling through 2024. I was like, just get to 2025, it'll be roses. And then we got to 2025, and I live in Los Angeles, and there were 6 fires around my house within 8 miles, and it wasn't rosy, right? And so that's what we're experiencing, is this just progressive trauma dump that we're having to get through. And I think that mental resilience and mental resilience tools are the key to mindset, and that's the key to success. So I would start there.
Okay.
The other thing I think we're not doing well is we're not investing in our teams.
Absolutely. So you would say training, and you would say maybe deep inner soul healing with self-empathy? Just kidding. Just
you took
joking.
the words out of my mouth. No, I was going to say, we do a lot of one-on-one coaching, and I think that we do a disservice by not coaching the entire team. It is an organism in itself, and even if you elevate one person in that organism, unless you're working on the whole system, the team does not grow
That makes
in the way you
sense.
want it to grow.
Yeah, so coaching, I think, is a great way to coach your team. Maybe having leaders, the leaders within the organization, the delegated leaders, I guess you could say, the second tier leaders coaching their team. This could be something really easy to do, something that could be implemented and probably maybe even low cost. So what were we going to say?
I was just going to say, it is low cost.
Yeah.
And if there's anyone here that wants a free team health assessment, it's just a questionnaire you can take. Send me an email. I'll give my email at the end, and I will send you a
Absolutely.
free assessment so you can just assess the health of your team.
Yeah, that is excellent. Thank you.
One of the biggest things that we've seen, especially during the fires with LA County, because I work for LA County Emergency Disaster, is
Wow.
taking a look at what is the culture of safety in your own environment, but how do you build on top of that? So at least you have the level set for it. Now, after building that, now you have this feedback loop with the employees, with leadership, because you want to have some empathy and some training education tools too. As being a leader, you want to hold that precedence. Again, we always learn that culture always eats strategy for lunch for
Absolutely.
every time. Well, you have to create that culture to really see and really expedite that as well. But also meet every person and employer set at where they're at. So at least you could build that repertoire into them. But also, since we're talking about Gen Z,
Yes.
and even the next generation after that, they're becoming more of the workforce. So we really have to pivot and really see, where they're coming from, and be able to really strategize and really say, hey, I'm going to put investments into my employees.
Sure.
I'm going to be invested into my own staff works, just so they feel well, so they could really accelerate into their own careers, but also amplify that for your own companies as well.
That's amazing. Yes. And so return on investment is really key, because when you're trying to convince a leader to implement something that they have not prior to even thought about doing, sometimes it is good to start with, okay, maybe we could do an assessment, have the team, a meeting or whatever, and kind of pull out, these are the things we're going to be, investing in. What would be, of all these interventions that we're going to be rolling out, which one would you be the most interested in? So that you kind of get the feedback from the team to see what would the team actually do, or what would they use? Would they use the healthcare plan that, got to remember your name. Irvin mentioned? Would they use a coaching session? Would they even go? You know what I mean? Would they use a therapist? What would they actually want to use? And then you could kind of find out from your team, from the horse's mouth, so to speak, what they would actually want to use in order for them to be able to roll out this whole new program. So I think that, surveys would be something that would be awesome. So I'd like to hear from Irvin on that. What would you think, Irvin?
Well, getting back to your original question, where I think we should invest the money, I agree with the thoughts about emotional intelligence and emotional resiliency being so important. I also think that if you can look at the company as a living organism, and you've got the head, which might be, the CEO and board of directors and the managing people, maybe they're actually just the scalp with beautiful hair, but they're part of sometimes that's all they are. But that everybody is a part of it. the old thing from the Bible, the right hand can't say, I don't need the left hand, or the eye can't say, I don't need the foot. It's a thing. It's like a body. And
Yeah.
I've seen that when companies will not only teach their employees, this is what you should do, but also explain the why behind it, and say, and get a lot of feedback. You've been working in this area for 5 years. What do you think we're doing right? What do you think we're not doing wrong? And then that will make them feel more like they're part of the program.
Sure.
They'll take ownership in it. And another thing is, when I was clawing my way up as a professional, anything having to do with mental illness was stigmatized.
Right.
Don't tell anybody you're feeling stressed because, you'll get fired or whatever. They'll just give you more work or something like that. But these days, I think it's less stigmatized. And, for example, the State Bar of Nevada, we have what we call continuing legal education requirements. We have to take so many hours per year.
Yes.
And lots of professions have this. It used to be 10. Now it's 13 because they've added to all the substantive stuff. We have to take 1 hour of ethics.
Okay.
You would think lawyers would know ethics, but I don't want to destroy your faith, but I've seen a few
Don't feel
unethical
bad,
lawyers
therapists.
in my day.
We have to
You would
do. We have to do 6 hours of ethics every single period. Yeah.
Okay, so you're on a higher level than I
we
am.
have to do a lot of ethics.
But the other thing that they've added that we have to take 2 hours every year of mental health counseling, avoiding alcoholism,
That's good.
drugs. And the State Bar also has, as part of paying your annual fees, you get like 6 hours per year of free anonymous counseling. All you have
Okay.
to do is call up, get the phone number, and they have, 3 or 4 counselors. Because it's a big thing. There's a lot of problem with, like I said, alcoholism, divorce, even suicide.
I'm really impressed, actually. I'm quite impressed that they did that with you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's really impressive is most of the bar associations now on those core MCLEs that you're talking about, Irv, have added stress reduction because I give those workshops to bar associations around the country. So it's
Yeah.
now alcoholism, gambling, and stress reduction.
It sure is.
Thank you. And gambling's a big problem here.
Oh, yeah, we didn't mention gambling.
And
That's
I'm
true.
not joking. It is a big problem among a lot of people, professionals. I can
And if
tell
you can help them, then maybe you can keep them at the job where you might have your best employee, and
Yeah.
but they're struggling with something. You know what I mean? And you can find out early on before it gets to the point where they're divorced and they lose their whole family and they're completely destitute. So I really want us to introduce our last panelist to just join the bunch here and find out what he's been doing and all
And by
that
the way,
good
it
stuff.
just came from a keynote next door. So.
Oh, my goodness.
Amazing.
My apologies for being late. My name is Alan Krishnan, and the thing, as he rightly pointed out, I had a keynote which ended 5 minutes after this started. And so they actually moved this originally by 10 minutes. But that took 15 minutes longer to get started and delayed me overall. So my apologies. Now, all of us...
That adds a lot of stress. You may want Carrie to help you with some stress management.
Fortunately,
We have a wellness plan for you.
I'm glad you brought this up right at the beginning, so let me give you this disclaimer.
Yes.
I never ever am stressed. I'm in Las Vegas, and a few months ago I was in Dubai at the same conference, and they had something about bang! What's your thought which comes to your mind? Somebody said, Gary, I said, this is Dubai. If it was Las Vegas, it's different. So here if somebody comes, points a gun to my head and says, I'm going to shoot you, I say, don't be so close. My blood will be all over your clothes. Go a little far and shoot me. Because
Oh, my goodness.
I'm practical. And I'll give you my everything in life. It's called the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Give me the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Amen.
Now,
Wow.
if Johnny here is holding a gun to my head, I'm not going to change his mind.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say, take everything I have, just stand far and shoot me so I don't waste my blood on your clothes and your body. That is acceptance, what I cannot change. And therefore, I never get stressed, and my wife often says, I know this, I wanted to stop working. She often says, I stress people around me, but I don't stress. Like I have a couple of colleagues out here, they were so stressed out because day before yesterday night, I slept for an hour and a half. And the question, did you sleep okay today? Of course I did. Even last night, 1.5 hours, I slept very well. And I had a fully functional day yesterday. So that's why my wife says I stress others out. But anyway, getting back to our point, everyone works for somebody or you hire somebody. Either you are paid or you pay out. And that's no big deal. As I tell people often, I prostitute my brains to put food on the table. But I never will to put food on my children's table. They can deal with themselves. So the fact you pay me money for what I do or I pay you for what you do is no big deal. That is simple prostitution of our mind. However, if you are concerned that my body and soul are in good shape, and then you would suddenly become my preferred employer. Because the United States was the world's leader in manufacturing, and lots of people got hurt at work. I worked in 4 continents, and in Africa I've had people who suddenly at 3 o'clock knock on my door because somebody lost his thumb and to rush him to hospital and get treatment and so on and so forth. We started in 1970 OSHA, Organizational Safety and Health Agency.
Yes.
And that made sure that every factory you go and work is safe. It's a division of the Department of Labor. And for the last couple of years, I'm wondering where in the world, and I'm being polite because of the audience we have, I would use a stronger word otherwise, where in the world has OSHA gone today? Do you know how much danger every one of us is in our workplace because you cannot work without a laptop computer? The electromagnetic waves it's emanating all the time is impacting you. And no disrespect, it makes my life better. We see a lot of women at work. Some of them are pregnant at different times. Do you know the damage done to your fetus, the unborn baby, because you're sitting in front of a laptop and you're touching the laptop? Anyone who wants to see it, I do have a booth out here. Team Up, it's in one corner. Please come there, we'll demo it to you. I will electrify your bodies and you will say, oh my God, what nonsense are you doing here? And I'll show you how you can be de-electrified. Cell phones. Once upon a time, we never had phones. I was on the street in Mysore as a child. We were the only home which had a phone, and neighbors would come and say, oh, you know, I'm getting a call from my son in America. Can I come there at 6 in the morning or evening and wait for you? Today I have more phones in my house than people. And that's true for every one of you. And slowly the old beautiful phone where there's a wire, I don't know, some of you are very young, but some who's old enough will know the 20-foot wire. Your phone is on the wall, you're on the stove, and you pull the phone and you're talking. And that's gone.
Multitasking. That's it.
Multitasking,
That's
yes
it.
ma'am. But without danger to you.
Exactly.
Today, either you're stupid like me, I put my phone like this and I do things.
Yes.
Which is terrible.
It's terrible.
But there are people who are less
Yes.
conscious than I am. They put cockroaches in their ear. I call them cockroaches, but other technical people call them AirPods. Sounds sexy to call AirPod. And you know what's happening? That stupid AirPod works on Bluetooth. This phone is in my pocket, giving electromagnetic waves, potentially impacting my reproductive system and so on.
You know what you're answering right now. It's funny, you're answering the next question because I was going to ask you what would be one thing that you would tell us to do that we could, actually in the audience to do. What is one thing that you would say that we could do to improve wellness for ourselves and for our employees? And you're kind of telling us right now. You're
Yes,
kind of
ma'am.
giving us a whole mindset shift here.
Yes, ma'am.
You're
Again,
kinda-
as my
you're explaining to us right now exactly what we need to do, which is it's really a matter of perception.
Absolutely.
yes, it is.
You know what I
And-
mean?
And thank you for this word of encouragement because my
Absolutely.
daughter and wife always warn that I choose to have the last word. I promise you I did not.
Good luck.
You can blame our coordinator who did this, put me in the last.
I just threw it in here. Well, I want to start with you.
So-
Go ahead and
No, I'm just teasing you.
You just like to make
Patty,
an entrance.
and I want to go ahead and start with
And the question is, again,
Okay.
just to
But,
frame it.
what
I
is
do need
one
one
thing
minute.
that you can tell? I'm
I
gonna
just
get
need
back
1
to
minute
you.
to complete that thought. So the phone, you put the cockroach in your head, which they call an AirPod, constantly the Bluetooth is hitting. Have I got a call? Have I got a call? Have I got a call? And that is going through your head. Again, come to my counter, the booth, and we'll show you how you can avoid that. And as an employer, I would encourage you to spend a pittance, half a day's wages. I don't think any of you can hire anybody
I
for
think
less
he would
than
be a fun. I
$80,000
think he would be a
year.
fun boss. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
He would be I would love to work with him.
Ellen, you're
He would keep
killing
me
me.
laughing all day.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And that half a day's wages and $200 will save the lives of your employees from regressing. And more important is, oh my God, here is an employer, the only one in my career ever, and in all my family friend circles, who is doing things for me to help me be better.
Yes.
Yeah.
The image boost for your
So-
company is beyond imagination, and with that, thank you for your patience.
Oh,
Thank
so
you.
that was such
So
good,
let me
good
invite
wisdom.
you-
We need wisdom,
Yeah.
Wisdom is the principal thing. So what wisdom do you have to share with us on what do you think that we should be doing? Something very simple that we can take with us today in our hands that we could use or do
Yeah.
to manage wellness?
I just want to start with something that, I've been teaching at all levels, like for 50 years. Of course, I beat Irving, I think, a little bit there. So what I learned through that is, without the ability, if you're running a school, an organization, or culture, whatever it is, and you have people who do not know how to handle conflict, you are going to have chaos, right? How many of you have seen this in your organizations?
Sure.
Okay. Now, I have been teaching, I have written books on this, and I get aspiring leaders. For 23 years, I taught at the university, and they all came in, and had no skills in how to actively listen, like the basic things we teach, how to regulate their emotions, et cetera, et cetera. And I spend a lot of time on developing that. So my first go-to,
Sure.
and I always tell anyone who wants to be a principal, if you want to have your organization in a place where you could move them and transform and do the things we all want to do,
Yeah.
then start with giving them skills. Because if they can't listen and they can't talk and they can't be assertive in a positive way, you're going to get nowhere.
Absolutely.
So that's my
So you
go-to.
build 'em- so
And
you build them from the inside out. Very good.
we do. And
love it.
so I have, on the back table, we have some handouts for you on positive self-management strategies in the moment.
Awesome. I'm so, oh my
hopefully
God.
can
Thank you
use
for
those.
bringing
You're
that.
More than welcome.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's enough, and if not, we'll give you my email. And
We'll figure it
reach
out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Carrie.
I totally agree that coaching skills are necessary for tomorrow's leaders, and so anything you can do with emotional regulation and emotional intelligence is so valuable. I would say for investment, oh wait, this is tip.
Yeah,
right?
just
This
gonna
is-
give,
what's
we're
one
gonna
thing you
give,
can
we're
do
gonna
right
give them
now?
something that they can take with them, some sort of
I already offered the
wisdom.
free
Yeah.
team assessment. I think
Right.
it's really good to get a snapshot of what your current situation is, because then you know what needs to be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also say anything you can do to bring us back in the moment, because what stress is, it's our amygdala getting hijacked. We're flooding our body with cortisol, and when we are flooded with cortisol, we cannot think properly. We can't make good decisions. We're not productive, and we're essentially hijacked. So whatever you can do in the moment to bring yourself to the present is really valuable. How many of you have done box breathing before? It is the simplest tool ever. I use it all the time. I use it in the middle of board meetings. You can do it with your eyes open, your eyes closed. You breathe into the count of 4, fill your lungs up completely, hold it in for 4, release for 4, and hold it empty for 4. And if you do that 4 times, I don't want to take time from the panel to have us do it right now, but I encourage you to practice it while
She's
we're
right in there with
talking.
me. I think it's something, box breathing is something that's really phenomenal.
Yeah.
If we have the time, we'll double back.
Yeah,
that would be
Carrie,
great.
because,
Yeah.
because she's right in line with what I was gonna say. Some quick technique that the person can do. So
Yeah.
we're gonna see what else everybody else wants to let us know about this, and then if we have time, we'll double back.
Perfect. So box breathing or any hyper focus on one single sense for 30 seconds to 1 minute will slow the release of cortisol. And so once
True.
you are, getting that cortisol out of your system, you're making room for the happy hormones, the oxytocin, the serotonin, the dopamine, the good stuff that keeps you going.
Come on, Carrie, you got it. That's it, girl. That is it.
She breathing my stuff right now. So box breathing important, and taking things coming from Japan, right? So biggest thing is like in the morning, do they have a routine? You know, because physical health is important,
Yeah,
right?
routine.
But also in the morning, what do they do over in Toyota?
Mhm.
They pretty much wake up in the morning, come up, have a nice routine. Military does this as well.
Yes.
Kind of exercise and stretch. So at least you get all the blood flowing. So it's also kind of like the coffee in the morning that we used to use in the Western world, honestly. But yeah, I mean, that's
I love that.
highly cheap, inexpensive. Come in half an hour early, do a little bit of yoga, and it kind of like breathe a sign of relief, right? It's always that breath that always drives people in. But after that, everyone's all harmoniously together, and if they're able to accelerate what they do in the day.
Wow. So get that routine. I'm telling you, who has a routine that they do every day before they like even come down to our meetings today and all that? See, you're already in there. See, this group is all wellness. I love it. Irvin, how would you add to that?
I'm glad you brought up box breathing. I just learned about that about 2 weeks ago, and I'm doing it, and it's a lot better than what most lawyers do, which is box beating.
Beatboxing or box beating?
Beating up everything in your office when you can't find a file. No, one thing I've seen in organizations that's really helpful is getting together and doing something other than talking about work. And we had this happen. We have a small little company, about 6 of us, and not all in Las Vegas. And a couple weeks ago, we decided to do a marketing brochure, so everybody came down for a picture, take pictures out in Red Rock, which is just west of here, if any of you are looking for a really pretty place to go. But anyway, it's up in the mountains. Just doing that and talking to people about their lives and getting out of the office, it's like the retreat type thing.
Yes.
And again, it's
I like that.
it's like you were talking about, spend a little bit of money. It's not a little bit of money. It's more lost income.
Yeah.
But it's going to pay dividends quite
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. That's amazing, Irvin.
a bit. Yeah.
And I like the fact that I'm not going to even get over this, that the lawyers get it. Because that's one of the hardest groups, to be honest with you. As a therapist, that's one of the hardest groups to convince that this is important. Because, of course, typically a lot of them are left-brained. Am I correct?
I think a lot of them are harebrained, but
Really? Is it-
probably left-brained also, yeah.
I mean, I'm just wondering, because my sister's a lawyer and my aunt's a lawyer and lawyers run in my family.
I joke about lawyers.
And
I
I love them, though.
I do sometimes come across lawyers and I wondered, how did you pass the bar exam? But,
But emotion.
But even people who put on a front of, being a type A person and I'm
That's
the
what I'm
biggest,
saying, yeah.
I'm the
Type
smartest
A.
person in the room and the biggest personality, when you really get down to it, everybody has her or his vulnerabilities
That's
and
it, sir.
weaknesses.
Yes.
And if we can
And I like
if we can
that.
get on that level and say, what can I do to help you? Or I've noticed like some senior people, if they go around and say, we're having a problem here, what do you think? It really helps everybody feel like,
Connection.
oh, gee, they care what I think.
Human connection. Simple. It's the simplicity of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much, Irvin.
When I
My
was
wise,
going-
my wise friend here. Touche.
You're so kind. When I was coming here earlier this morning, I met the panelists for the first time.
Yes.
And I discovered a book, Eyes on the Prize. And I said, I got to push this because it does everything I want to do. You can go to Amazon, buy the book. That's okay for yourself. But if you're a leader, if you have people, you have employees, please don't do that. Instead, reach out to me. We'll make sure we buy enough books for you. Get them out to a worthy author here, Carrie, who's here. And she will customize each book as she did here for me. Alan, shoot for the stars. We'll get this written to every one of your team members with the author's signature, shipped out to you, you hand it out, and you'll see the change. Because this shows you care for them. It's not, the book may sell $10, $20, who cares? It's irrelevant.
Yes.
But the effort you made to get the author to customize it for them and come out with blessings and positivity will change the world. I hate to do this, but I have to refer to Carrie again.
No. Yes. Carrie.
No. This is something else. We've got 3 other panelists, but she's the one who's blowing me away. So, she
I have
talked
a new
about taking a
boyfriend.
deep breath. box breathing, as they called it. There are different names for it. They started in the Art of Living in India, which offers a program. You take a deep breath, as she said, hold the breath, and breathe it out slowly. Take a short break and do it again. And you asked how many of you did this. I live in the East Coast, suburbs of Washington, D.C., and you know what's terrible there? At least 4 months a year, I hate to get out of bed. Because the place is dark till 7:30 in the morning. It is miserable getting out of bed, walking around, no light anywhere, and say, why in the world am I up here? But after I went to the Art of Living, took the program, it's called the Happiness Program. I wake up, I don't even open my eyes. I do the whole program, the Happiness Program, in bed, which is breathing and stretching. And in about 20 minutes, I'm so alert, you can give me any challenging mathematical or other thing, I'll give you amazing solutions. And then I got off to bed, I don't care it's dark, because I don't even notice the darkness. So, I would strongly recommend and request, it's okay if we end our discussions and Q&A 2 minutes earlier, but let Carrie lead you.
Oh,
Lead every
please,
one of us
yes.
in
I was
this
hoping that we
process.
can do the box breathing. Yeah, I think we
And-
are going to have the time.
We'll make the time.
No, we will. We'll have the time. And the thing is I was just about. You see, you keep getting ahead of me, and so you know this thing inside out. So I was going to ask each person if someone from the audience wants to connect with or follow up with anyone here, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you? We're going to kind of go down the line on that one, and then we're going to have time to do a little quick box breathing. I think we will. So. Yeah.
So I have a booth outside also where you can sign up. I have my cards, tons of them. I give you my phone number, which is the business one, and if that's the easiest way to just text, 917-474-6952. And I'll be outside if you want to repeat that, and that's probably the best way to reach out. We're happy to be there for you whenever you do, and I'm good. I'm trying to work not on weekends now. That's my new
amazing.
thing, or spend after 7 p.m.
Yeah.
at least free.
Yeah, because we are talking about burnout.
Because we're talking about our own burnout.
We are talking about burnout here,
Yeah,
so
happy to hear from you.
Absolutely. Thank you. You guys reach out to her. She's really awesome. Carrie.
The best way to get a hold of me is email. It's Carrie@rainshadowcoaching.com. That's CARRIE at rainshadow, RAINSHADOW coaching.com. You can also go to my website, rainshadowcoaching.com, or eyesontheprizebook.com. And I kind of lived on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
if you want to
That's
search
true.
through the 500 Carrie Williamses on LinkedIn and find me, I will accept your request.
That's yeah.
I
so-
have a handful of books with me.
Sure.
So if you want a book, come chat with me afterwards.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you could actually, same thing. Everything is on the web. Link me up over at LinkedIn, Andrew Paxisian. So super easy. Link me up there. Andrew Paxisian. Yeah. So probably
you have a lovely,
I have,
unique
I have
name.
an easier find name versus
Yeah.
Carrie does.
Yes.
But you have to spell your name.
Yeah, you better
Okay.
spell it.
If you want to spell it, super complicated. So it's PAGSISIHAN is the last name. Andrew is a little bit easier. But if guys on the webs, it's Papa Alpha Golf, Sierra India, Hotel Alpha November.
Oh, that's easy.
Nice maritime alphabet.
Amazing.
And from the military background, yes, we are trained in this.
Right, okay, I'm sorry. The easiest way to get a hold of me is come up to me right after this. if you're in-
Absolutely.
And I have business cards, and I'd be happy to help you. My cell phone number, I live in Las Vegas, is 702-498-9111, and you can call me, or I'm on LinkedIn also. I'm sure I'm the only Irvin, and that's E-R-V-E-N, Nelson, on LinkedIn. I've been spelling my first name my entire life, so
Awesome.
unlike Carrie, I don't have a lot of people with the same name. I would be happy to talk to you about these wellness programs that can be implemented in companies at no cost, and actually pay money back to the employers.
Wow, I love that. We love money. So, good.
I always like to think, save the best for the last. We have 47 people in this room and 5 panelists here. There won't be time for every one of you to get every one of us. So the easiest way to get out of me is take my phone number, 703-628-6422. Wait for a couple of days. I'm sure we're all busy today, tomorrow here, and call me after that.
Absolutely.
Send me a text message, send me a WhatsApp message.
That's it.
For more information, I do have a booth here. I'm a sponsor. Team Up Corp. Come up there. You'll find me or one of my colleagues, and they'll find you for me. Or call me on this number. I'm coming over there. Jump over there, and I'll be there to see you. And then we can talk. I definitely would encourage you to come and see the electrifying experience, and you will be surprised, and some of your smiles will turn to shock. So I would encourage you to do that. And I look forward to speaking and working with some of you. And I promise you that none of my solutions are cheap. They are priceless. There's a difference between being inexpensive and cheap.
Aged and tested, aged and tested.
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Crystal Booth, and if you want to get a hold of me, I actually have a card for each and every one of you with the QR code on the back, so you can have everything, all the information on me, all the websites and things like that. So, yeah. So I have them right there in my bag, and you guys can also, if you want to just write down my phone number because you're in a rush, my phone number is 661-402-1545. If you're interested to learn more about the work that I do and how I help people heal from trauma.
Before we do our breathing, which we need desperately at this point, I just want to say that tomorrow morning I have a workshop where I'll be talking about the system-wide implementation of this work in New York City schools. So
Awesome.
if you're around, I'd love you to join us.
Love it.
And when we do the deep breathing, I strongly recommend you close your eyes, because taking that visual distraction away will enhance the experience.
That's amazing. That's exactly
And
true.
I promise you, nobody will steal your cell phone or something else on your table.
So Carrie, you can stand up maybe and
Sure.
if you don't mind, and get this party started.
Oh, now I can see you because the light's not right in my eyes. Hello. Okay, so just take a second and settle in so you're comfortable. Feet on the ground is really good. Keep yourself grounded. You can close your eyes if it helps, or leave them open. Just don't make faces at each other. And what I want you to do is take a deep breath, filling your lungs to full capacity to the count of 4. And then we're going to hold it in for 4, release everything so they're totally empty, and then hold it for 4. And I will do the counting. So breathe in through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Release everything till your lungs are empty. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. We're going to do it again. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. And hold it. Breathe out. And hold it. We're going to do it one more time. Breathe in. Fill those lungs all the way. And hold it. Breathe out and empty them completely. 2, 3, 4. And hold it empty. Okay, go ahead and breathe regularly. So just check in with yourself and see. That was less than a minute of time just doing some deep breathing. And what we just did was lowered your cortisol, lowered your blood pressure and your heart rate. We probably increased your oxygen levels. And some of you might be a little tingly and hyper dizzy right now because you don't breathe that deeply on a regular basis. So take that energy and take it to the next workshop. Thank you so much for listening, guys.
I thank you guys so much. Now, just one question before you guys go. Who feels much calmer now after that exercise? Would you use that? Would you use that, like, regularly?
And
Awesome.
that is the simplest one to use,
Yeah,
right?
simple.
And take it back to your teams, honestly.
Yeah.
It's good
So-
for you and rest of the team, all the way to the bottom level.
So thank you guys for
Thank
bearing
you,
with us
everybody.
today, and we enjoyed speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.